Hey there, duelists, and welcome back to the Crystal Domain. Today, we are resuming the Domain Chronicles with the year 2003. I was super young back in 2003 and probably did not know any of these cards, at least for what they truly could do, and some of these are going to be really relevant for some of those playground games back in the day. But we're going to be looking back at the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! We're traversing the sands of this game's past, and we're looking at each year for the sets that came out and looking back at the cards as we move forward all the way up to modern day and looking for jank. Weird cards that could be really interesting to read and think about, and what they could do in domain format. Obviously, our beloved domain format, which, if you've not joined the Discord yet, you should. There will be a link in the description down below for the Discord server. We have like 4,000 something people in there now. I can't even remember what the number's at this point, but there's a lot of people in there. And if you're interested in the format, absolutely check it out. We're going to be talking about it. Or we're going to be talking about these old cards within the confines of like if they are applicable to domain. And in general, just looking at weird cards and just reminiscing about weird card design that early Yu-Gi-Oh was so famous for. So with that said, we're now going to resume the Domain Chronicles in the year 2003. Starting us off is Duelist League Series 1, which debuted January 10th, 2003, starting the year off with a whimper, since none of those cards are relevant for this video. However, Labyrinth of Nightmare, our first major set of 2003, came out March 1st, 2003, and features a number of cards we're going to be talking about today. So the first one we're going to talk about is Chosen One, which has a weird like Beyblade with 3 Yu-Gi-Oh cards on it in the artwork. You will select one monster card and 2 non-monster cards from your hand. Your opponent randomly selects one card from among them, and if it is a monster card, it is automatically special summoned, and then you send the remaining 2 cards to the graveyard. If they happen to pick a non-monster card, then they send all the cards to the graveyard. This is not great, but hypothetically, you could. There's a couple applications here. One, there's the high roll where you just get to play a monster for free. There's the other high roll, technically, of you get to send 3 cards to the graveyard for your extra hand if you're a graveyard deck. But in another application, there is 2v2 domain format where your opponent is actually. The way the rules are is that your opponent is your teammate, right? So with Chosen One, you could pick a teammate. That way they could help you cheat out a card out of your hand, which is pretty neat. It's not like great, but it's a fun tech that you can consider if you're building specifically for that variation of the format. Next, we have Mask of Dispel, a big continuous spell card with a weird-looking ghoul face on it. You select one face-up spell card on the field. The controller of the spell card takes 500 damage during each of your standby phases, and when the selected card is removed from the field, you destroy this card. Burn. It's not great, but it's burn. Why not? Mask of Restrict, a continuous trap card. Neither player contribute cards. Now we got a Floodgate, a weird one at that. This one prevents all the players at the table from contributing cards. This could be relevant if one of your friends is playing like Flouanderies or Monarchs or some Yugi Boomer pile where they want to tribute monsters. It has applications, I suppose. It's interesting, at least. Infinite cards. There are 5 on this artwork, but apparently there are infinite of them. Continuous spell card. There is no limit to the number of cards in players' hands. You don't have to discard cards anymore. You could be in a game, like a group hug kind of game, where everybody's drawing cards, or you're drawing a lot of cards, and you don't want to discard them. So you're drawing half your deck, keep half your deck in your hand. Why not? Amazoness Archer. This is a Earth Warrior 4-star monster with 1,400 attack and 1,000 defense. She doesn't really look ready to be shooting that arrow, but alright. You contribute 2 monsters to inflict 1,200 damage to your opponent. A tribute outlet for burn damage that is not once per turn. Obviously this isn't broken, but it's decent. If there's some form of combo loop you could create with this, you could burn a player out of the game, which is an option if that's what you're looking to do. Just worthwhile pointing out that it is not once per turn, to my understanding, with this card. Otherwise, I feel like it would say so with the updated text. Each of these cards that we're looking at are Yugioh Pro modernized versions of each of these cards. If they never got a reprint, it will modernize their text as much as possible. Fire Princess. This is a Fire Pyro monster with 4 stars, 1300 attack, 1500 defense. And each time you gain life points, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Again, this card's kind of just cool to me. I want to find a way to make a deck with it, right? The ability to, like, gain a bunch of life points and burn out an opponent is just enticing and an interesting build concept. It's a build challenge to me. I haven't made it yet, but I would love to have a deck where this is like the DM, and then you just like go crazy and gain a bunch of life points and burn everybody out. Next, we have a 2-for-1. These cards kind of operate the same. Spirit of the Breeze, the first one, is a wind fairy monster with 3 stars, 0 attack, and 1800 defense. As long as this card remains in face-up attack position on your side of the field, increase your life points by 1,000 during each of your standby phases, and then and vice versa. Dancing Fairy is a wind fairy monster with 4 stars, 1,700 attack, and 1,000 defense, and as long as it remains in face-up defense position on your side of the field, you increase your life points by 1,000. If you find the means to protect these cards and give them the ability to not be blown up or targeted or whatever, you can put some investment in these guys to have a consistent gain of life points, which, again, reminiscent to Fire Princess. Then Fire Princess with these guys, if they were somehow in the same domain, you could consistently be gaining life and also detracting from your opponents. Not powerful, but a fun interaction nonetheless. Offerings to the Doomed. It's a quick play spell card featuring lots of fine jewelry and tombstones in the background. I'm sure that's a very fun party to be at. Target 1 face-up monster on the field. Destroy that target. Also skip your next draw phase. Not great, but also a means of quick play destruction, which is a bit unique. Normally, destruction is relegated to monster effects, especially these days, or even trap cards. So it is interesting that this is like a quick play creature removal at the cost of your draw, which is not great, but it's something. Summoner of Illusions. This is a 3-star light spellcaster flip monster with 800 attack and 900 defense. He looks like a pope with some weird eldritch entities behind him. He's a flip monster, so on flip, you tribute one other monster, and if you do, you special summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck, but destroy it during the end phase of this turn. I just find this is neat. Like, if you're in a flip deck, this just gives you access to a fusion monster straight out of the extra deck, which is really, really neat. Like, I don't know if, like, I am reading into this wrong, but this just seems sick. Like, this would be really fun to mess with, especially in a deck that could abuse the flip of this card by flipping it back down and flipping it back up and stuff like that. Gillosaurus. This is a 3-star Earth dinosaur monster with 1,400 attack and 400 defense. You can special summon this card from your hand. Wow, just a straight-up special summon in 2003? Okay. If summoned this way, you activate this effect. Your opponent can special summon 1 monster from their graveyard. That's where they get you. But there is a way to make this better. As some know, 2v2 domain format. Your opponent is your teammate. You special summon this bad boy, and you tell your teammate, hey, get a guy back from the graveyard, and that's value. Supply. This guy is carrying everything. He is a Earth Warrior flip monster with 4 stars, 1,300 attack and 800 defense. On flip, you return 2 fusion material monsters that were sent to the graveyard as a result of a fusion summon to your hand. We get a little bit of some fusion recovery with this guy. Kind of an interesting card. Not great, but just interesting. Collected Power. This is a trap card. Target one face-up monster on the field, equip it with all equipped cards on the field. If any of those equipped cards that are now equipped to an incorrect target, you destroy them. This is just super narrow but funny, where, like, imagine, like, a 4-player game where everybody agrees to just, like, play equip cards, and then you just play this, and then you have, like, a guy equipped with, like, 20 equipped cards from their field to your guy, and then he's just like infinite power. It's just kind of it's fascinating. It's not great, but it's a weird card that I thought would be worth pointing out if you are also, if you're being, bullied by an equip card deck in the year big 2025. Here's the answer for you. Royal Command. This guy is telling his troops to stop. His armor is much nicer than theirs. He's a continuous trap card with flip monster effects cannot be activated. All their effects are negated. We have another floodgate and a narrow one at that. If you are facing the menace of the flip monsters, they are troubling your table, your pod, your meta. You got the answer now. You can just flip this bad boy, and then flip monsters are done for. Grave Robber's Retribution. It's a continuous trap card. He seems like he's not doing well. I'm sure he'll be alright. During each of your standby phases, inflict 100 points of damage to your opponent's life points for each of your opponent's monsters that have been removed from play. I mean, in a banish deck, you could be hitting a lot of targets. This has potential for a lot of damage. Like, if you are a banish deck that's hitting a lot of cards out, this is sick. Like, if you're, like, alright, imagine, like, Kashtira with some other banish crap put in there, and you're just hitting all their stuff, and then, well, no, Kashtira banishes face down, doesn't it? Okay, imagine you're a different deck where you're banishing a bunch of cards, and they're all face up so you know what they are, and they just are getting burned for a bunch of damage. This is a great way to speed up the game, especially the fact that it hits everybody, so this is very value for what you could be doing. Blind Destruction, another continuous trap card with, like, random laser beams going everywhere. Once per turn during your standby phase, you roll a 6-sided die. Duke Devlin is freaking out. If the result is a 1 through 5, you destroy all monsters on the field with the same level as the number rolled. This could do nothing or everything. If it is a 6, destroy all level 6 and higher monsters on the field. Imagine the high roll. You hit a 6. Everybody's massive monsters are destroyed in one fell swoop. And everyone's like, wow, I never heard of that card. And then you're like, boom, I rolled a dice, and I got the board wipe when I could have just played Dark Hole. But no, we're gimmicky, and we are board wiping by RNG through a dice. Whoop. There we go, had a little bit of a glitch. Vengeful Bog Spirit is a continuous spell card that has the unique ability of making it the monsters cannot attack the turn they are summoned. If you ever wanted the rule that Magic the Gathering lives and dies by, that all creatures that enter the battlefield have summoning sickness. You ever wanted summoning sickness in Yu-Gi-Oh? You got it. Here it is. You want to play Magic, but it's Yu-Gi-Oh? Make this card, your pod can sit down and this is in play for everybody. No monsters can attack the turn they're summoned. Boom, you have Magic the Gathering you have Yu-Gi-Oh! As Richard Garfield intended. It's beautiful. Tournament Pack 3 came out also on March 1st, 2003. So you went to your LGS, you were ripping Labyrinth of Nightmare, and then you were ripping Needleworm out of your TP3 pack. This is a Earth 2-star insect flip monster with 750 attack and 600 defense. Not sure how it's seeing where it's going with no eyes, but I'm sure it's got some means of figuring that out. On flip, you send the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck to the graveyard. We have a mill strategy forming. You can mill your opponents, the most popular strategy of winning ever in Yu-Gi-Oh! Then, of course, we have Anti-Raigeki, a trap card with some form of human skeleton lightning conductor, sure. When your opponent activates Raigeki, you negate it, and then if you do, you destroy all their monsters instead. I had to double check that this wasn't already on the list from the prior video, and it made me realize, like, how many just like gotcha cards they printed back in the day for like, wow, Raigeki's insane. You know what people need? Anti-Raigeki. They need White Hole. They need the Monster Reborn Negator. They need all these super specific negate cards that are traps, and therefore would need to be set up in advance to even be prepared to counter said spell cards. So usually they're not going to do it, but you know, it's very good. If you're getting bullied by Raigeki, here you go. Legacy of Darkness is our next set, but before that we had a number of releases. We had Starter Deck Joey and Pegasus come out March 30th, 2003, which feature a bunch of reprints. Nothing really relevant there. We have Game Boy Worldwide Edition promos, April 8th, 2003. We had Worldwide Edition Stairway to the Destin Duel promos on April 8th, 2003. Lots of video game releases, nothing really relevant there. We had Duelist League Series 2, May 10th, 2003. That also had nothing relevant for us. And now back to Legacy of Darkness, our next main booster set from June 6th, 2003. Our first card from that set is Dark Ruler Hades. This is a 6-star Dark Fiend monster that has 2450 attack and 1600 defense. It cannot be special summoned from the graveyard and negate the effects of monsters destroyed by battle with Fiend monsters you control. You're building that Fiend typal deck, and then you just negate the effects of the monsters destroyed by battle. And then they're devastated by this one tribute Fiend monster. Kind of neat. Shame it can't be reanimated, though. It kind of makes it harder to cheat this guy out, but I'm sure that's fine. Possessed Dark Soul. This is a 3-star Dark Fiend monster with 1200 attack and 800 defense. You contribute this face-up card to take control of all face-up level 3 or lower monsters your opponent currently controls. You ever had the problem with dealing with frogs and Sprite? Problem solved. You distribute this guy, and you take all their frogs and all their sprites, and they will never be able to negate it. No way, absolutely not. They cannot negate this. It says it on there. Secret sentence on it that it is immune to Totally Awesome, and you get them, and you take all their guys. Fatal Abacus. This is a continuous trap card. Each time one monster is sent from the field to the graveyard, you inflict 500 points of damage per card to the respective card owner's life points. We got more burn. This time in the form of every time a monster is sent, you're just burning them, which is actually kind of decent because it goes across all players, and that raises the value of this card dramatically. Freed, the matchless general. His mustache is quite matchless. He is a Earth Warrior 5-star monster with 2300 attack and 1700 defense. Negate any spell effects that target this card, and if you do, destroy that spell card. Man, you're dealing with like that hammer shot or fissure. Nope. No, fissure doesn't target, does it? I forget what I said. During your draw phase, instead of conducting your normal draw, you can instead add a level 4 or lower warrior-type monster from your deck to your hand. But this card must be face up on the field to activate and resolve this effect. So instead of a draw, you can tutor out a warrior, any warrior, as long as it's level 4 or lower, which is kind of neat. If you're like in like a lower level, like a GOAT style, like typal match where you're playing warriors, this is a great card. I mean, easy tribute, 5 stars, 1 tribute guy, decent body, 2300 attack, and it can make your draw a toolbox for any warrior. That's quite good, especially for older format where warriors were some of the best supported type in the game at the time. And it's only gotten more cards since then, so this card has a lot of reach for what it can get. It's just kind of a neat card. I wouldn't say it's broken, but the ability to tutor and search out the deck for cards is always worth mentioning. Frontier Wise Man. This is a 3-star Earth spellcaster with 1600 attack and 800 defense. Negate any spell effects that target a warrior-type monster you control, and if you do, destroy them. Again, you're getting targeted by some spell stuff on your warriors? Not anymore. This guy says no. Kind of neat. So again, if you're in that like typal kind of thing, this supports a type, which is kind of neat. Here we go. Playground All-Star, Patrician of Darkness. This is a dark 5-star zombie monster with 2000 attack and 1400 defense. You ever cheat with this guy? I have. He just says you choose the attack targets of your opponent's attacks. Um, Playground kids would often, like myself, would interpret this as like, nah, you just like hit yourself. Duh. Just cheat. Otherwise, no, it needs a legal target, which would not be they wouldn't send their monsters at themselves. They can't legally do that. But it could go to a different monster, making it harder for them to get through your stuff, which is always nice. Otherwise, it's just kind of funny to bring this guy up for the classic thing of cheating people out of a W when they had no idea how this card could be so broken, and every kid thought that it was broken. Now we got a 2-for-1. These are some spirits that are kind of worth talking about. This set introduced spirits. At least I remember, I believe it introduced the spirits. And they're all pretty... Some of them are quite good. Other ones are not. I figured I'd mention these two because they're like kind of the boss monsters of the archetype. And they got some pretty gnarly effects. So we're going to start with Yamata Dragon, which is a 7-star fire dragon spirit monster with 2600 attack and 3100 defense. Very gnarly, massive, like 6-headed snake monster going on. Really love the artwork on this one. This card cannot be special summoned, and this card returns to its owner's hand during the end phase of the turn. It is normal summoned or flipped face up. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. Drawing up to 5 in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is super strong. This is a very good effect. If you have the means of keeping this guy out and or getting him out quickly and then hitting, that's very good card advantage. On the other end, we have Hinokagu Tsuchi. This is a 8-star fire pyro spirit monster with 2800 attack and 2900 defense. Less big of a fan of the artwork on this one, just not as cool as like a giant snake monster. Cannot be special summoned. This card returns to its owner's hand during the end phase of the turn. It's normal summoned or flipped, just like all their spirits. If this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, they discard all cards in their hand during the next draw phase before they draw, making them now playing a top deck game. This is also quite devastating. This could remove their ability to do anything, potentially. So I thought it would be worth mentioning that these guys have crazy effects, but also are hard to get on the field and then perform said effects. Heart of Clearwater. Man, this is Domain All-Star, baby. This is a Quip spell card with a weird, like, screaming water droplet on it. If the equipped monster's attack is 100 attack or lower, or higher, sorry, this card is destroyed. The monster equipped with this card is not destroyed as a result of battle or by the effect of a card that targets the monster. You give this to that spirit we talked about earlier, and boom, that 1,000 life points every turn. There's no way they're going to kill it. You have infinite life at that point. They just have to scoop. Anyways, this card's kind of neat. I mean, you can just like get a guy to be unkillable that's like lower end. Seems kind of strong. Then we got more spirit support, spiritual energy, settle machine, the continuous spell card that says as long as this card remains face up on the field, all spirit monsters remain face up on the field and do not return to their owner's hands during the end phase. Even if they are normal summoned or flipped face up, discard 1 card from your hand during each of your end phases. If you do not, destroy this card. When this card is removed from the field, all face up spirit monsters return to the owner's hands. Of course, there's the drawback of if you play this card to keep the spirit in play, that would further your ability to outdraw the opponent with Yamata Dragon and keep their hand empty with the Hino Kagutsuchi guy, or whatever it was called. But, on the other end, if they remove this card, then you are devastated by all your spirits being bounced to hand. Basically, the goal of this card is to look at the fact that it does support the spirit archetype that they were designing for this set, but also has a heavy drawback that makes it risky to perform to maintain your powerful spirit monsters in play. Now we have second coin toss with the Pot of Greed Goblin on it. This is the continuous spell card that reads, when a coin toss is performed, you can choose to redo the coin toss. If the toss involved multiple coin flips, you redo all of them, and then you can only use the effect of this card once per turn. If you are going up against a coin flip deck or using one yourself, this allows you to redo your coin flips. There's a very popular pre-constructed commander deck that came out through the Secret Lair system back in the day a long time ago that was about coin flipping. And the ability to redo coin flips is actually quite strong depending on the effect of the card. It's a lot better in Magic than it is here. However, being able to redo coin flips in general could lead to making the effects of gamble cards less risky, which does deny the part that they're a gamble, and more they can be quite powerful. If, of course, you get the right flip. Convulsion of Nature, Domain All-Star, with like 50 apocalyptic events, 6 apocalyptic events happening on it. It's a continuous spell card. As long as the card remains face up on the field, both players must turn their respective decks upside down and proceed with the duel. No secrets anymore. Your bottom card is your top deck, and your top deck is visible by all the time. This card's dumb, but it's funny. It's not in card simulators, and I would have no idea why they wouldn't put it in. I think this should be a Master Duel, Konami. Do it now. Bad Reaction to Samochi. This is one of my favorite old weird cards. Continuous trap card with like a dark elf being afflicted by demons. As long as the card remains face up on the field, any effect of increasing your opponent's life points is changed to inflicting the same amount of points and damage to your opponent's life points. You give them the gift card, and you're like, hey, that's not 3,000 life points or whatever. That's like you're dead. And that is a great meme. Next, all right, moving on to the next set. Before Pharaonic Guardian, in between the release of Legacy of Darkness and Pharaonic Guardian, we had a World Championship Series. The WCS promos come out in June 27, 2003. Other than their value being very high, nothing really worth talking about. But then, our next main set came out, Pharaonic Guardian, in July 18th, 2003, and we'll start with Jowls of Dark Demise. So not Jaws, Jowls. This is a 2-star water fiend flip monster with 200 attack and 100 defense. Settle it down, man. Way too strong. On flip, take control of one monster on your opponent's side of the field until the end of the turn that this card's effect is activated. When the controlled monster attacks, it can attack your opponent's life points directly. So, like, hypothetically, this could just grab a guy that's big enough to one-shot somebody. It's not great, but it's funny. And that's what we're here for, is funny. Gora Turtle. This looks like the turtle from Golden Wind of JoJo's, kinda. So the Stand Turtle is a 3-star water aqua monster with 1100 attack and 1100 defense. Nice equal statting. As long as this card remains face up on the field, monsters with an attack equal to 1900 or more cannot declare an attack. Game's over. I mean, they can't attack with their monsters. There's nothing else they can do. Game's over. Dice Jar, I do not like the artwork on this thing. He is freaky. 3-star light rock flip monster, 200 attack, 300 defense. On flip, both players roll a 6-sided die. Again, Duke Devlin is excited. The player with the lower result takes damage equal to the opponent's roll times 500. That could be a decent chunk. However, if the winner rolled a 6, the loser takes 6,000 damage. If the rolls are the same, both players roll again. This could just delete someone from the table. They, like, you know, if there's a card that allowed you to re-roll dice, I don't think there is, at least at this era. Man, 6,000 damage. Big burn. And they roll again if it's the same. That could add to the odds of getting the 6K whammy on somebody. This card's crazy. Ordeal of a Traveler, our favorite troll card. This is a continuous trap card with a Sphinx angrily staring down at a grave poacher. Probably not, just probably like an innocent archaeologist that just found the wrong place. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, your opponent chooses a random card in your hand and calls the type of the card, whether it is a monster, a spell, or a trap. If they call it wrong, you return the attacking monster to the hand. This can be so annoying to deal with and so funny to use. Use this against your friends. They might not invite you back to game night. Bottomless Shifting Sand. This poor camel and this continuous trap card being sucked into the earth. At the end of your opponent's turn, destroy the face-up monsters with the highest attack on the field. During your own standby phase, if you have 4 or less cards in your hand, this card is destroyed. This could just be a consistent means of blowing up the biggest guy on board, which is kind of funny. Only thing necessary is keeping your hand full, which, I mean, if you're like a draw-centric deck, you could make this happen. So it's like a decent means of keeping the board mostly relegated in line with big guys not being welcome. Hell Palmer? He's got like 3 mouths. He's screaming. This little guy, little friend, is a dark 5-star fiend monster with 2,000 attack and 1,400 defense. Cannot be special summoned from the graveyard. Again with these these guys are fiends. Why can't they be brought back? Necromancy's totally in. At the end of your opponent's battle phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was destroyed by battle, make your opponent discard 1 random card. This card must be in the graveyard to activate and to resolve this effect. So this is going to happen, like, at the end of every opponent's battle phase. Or the end of theirs. Everybody's? This would be everybody, wouldn't it? Yeah. Based on the wording, this would hit everybody. So that's a pretty solid discard outlet if you can get it in the graveyard by destruction by battle, which is not easy, but I mean, if they don't read the card, then they might blow it up, which is worth doing. Dark Designator. Pointing at this man. Spell card. Declare a monster card name. If the declared card is in your opponent's deck, add 1 of that card to your opponent's hand. 2v2 domain emerges again. You target your ally and you say best monster in their deck. It's on the name of the card, you get the point. And they're like sick, and they tutor out the card and it's in their hand now. And then you just helped them, and that's great teammate synergy. Dark Snake Syndrome. This card is diabolical. Continuous spell card. During each of your standby phases, inflict damage to both players. This damage begins at 200 and is doubled during each of your following standby phases. This ends a game very quick. For Magic players, this is Descent into Avernus and Commander on crack cocaine. This card's ridiculous. This can very swiftly end a game if not dealt with. I mean, you're just burning everybody very fast. Coffin Seller. I'm sure this is a very morally upright individual. Continuous trap card. Each time a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard, inflict 300 damage. Solid burn. Their monsters are going to hit the grave, and you just burn them up. It's not bad. Alright. After Final Guardian, we had Duelist League Series 3, September 13th, 2003. And not a lot went on. TP4, same thing, but that came out on October 1st, 2003. And then we have Magician's Force. So, just clarification. For starters, this came out October 10th, 1 day before my birthday, 2003. Probably got Magician's Force packs for my birthday back then, if I had to guess. This set is super weird. I'll be real. This set alone could have its own video about the jank. It introduces spell counters. It introduces union monsters. There's like so much stuff that's just jank, like insanely jank in this set, that it would take up 90% of this video talking about 90% of the Magician's Force set, like card by card. So if you are interested in like a full breakdown of Magician's Force with the spell counter cards, with the union cards, I will absolutely make that. You could sound off in the comments if you're interested in a dedicated Magician's Force Domain Chronicle video. But on the other end, that would take a long time. I will gladly do it if it's required, like if people want it. But for this video, we are going to be covering like literally, I think, 1 card, which is Remove Brainwashing. This is a continuous trap card that returns control of all monsters to the owner, which is a pretty decent way of denying theft effects if they are prevalent at your table. This is a decent denial of those style of effects. And yes, so after that, after Magician's Force, we had Power of Chaos, Yugi the Destiny, with some promos that came out November 21st, 2003. And to end the year off, we have Dark Crisis, our final main set of 2003, which came out December 1st. And we're going to start with a 2-for-1 with Exodia Necros and his accompanying contract with Exodia. These cards are not good, but it is funny to talk about them. Exodia Necros is a dark 4-star spellcaster monster with 1800 attack. Very iconic anime monster. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned with contract with Exodia, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. It could also not be destroyed by battle or spell or trap effect. So, rather solid immunity. Once per turn during your standby phase, this card gains 500 attack. Destroy this card unless all 5 of these cards are in your graveyard, which is each of the 5 pieces of Exodia. So, then we're going to talk about its summoning requirement. Contract with Exodia is a normal spell card that reads, if you have all 5 pieces of Exodia in your graveyard, you special summon Exodia Necros from your hand. Not even from deck, not from graveyard, specifically from hand, nowhere else. So the question would be, why would you not just reveal Exodia? Like, the goal... Okay, so why would you not just play to activate regular Exodia? And I guess you could be like, well, this is a backup plan. But, like, ignoring modern support for Exodia, ignoring the solid cards that deck has gotten in recent years, ignoring all of those, in the year 2003, where this is pre-ban list, this is pre-Konami having agency over what cards are being played. As far as I'm aware, in the year 2003, you could be rocking a play set of Exodia cards if you felt like it. You don't really have the means of, like, doing the thing with the cards at this point in time. Like, okay, you could probably do, like, gear-free Royal Magical Library Butterfly Dagger Elma combo. I'm sure all those cards are out by now. Actually, they are out by now, now that I remember, because Royal Magical Library came out in Magician's Force, and then the Guardians were in Pharaonic Guardian, which is where you get Butterfly Dagger Elma, and then Gear Free the Iron Knight was in one of the sets in 2003, if not earlier than that. So point being is that you could draw your deck at that point in time, so you could just, like, play Exodia instead, or you could, like, have all of them, all his little ligaments, floating in the graveyard, in the pool, and then you summon this guy, which has moderate immunity, except by monster effect. It can still be banished, so you could just bottom strap hole this thing. And it gains 500 attack on each standby phase. So if they don't remove it, I guess it eventually becomes a problem from 18 to 23 and then to 28 and then to 33 and so on and so forth. It'll eventually kill them, I suppose, but it's very odd. This is a very weird card that, like, you would think that they would make it stronger because it is, like, Exodia actually on field instead of just a win condition. But, I don't know. Just weird card. Moving on, Gyaku Geyer Panda. This is a 3-star Earth Beast monster, very angry panda, with 800 attack and 1600 defense. Increase the attack of this card by 500 points for each monster on your opponent's side of the field. This counts everybody, so this guy gets big. When this card attacks with an attack that is higher than the defense of your opponent's defense position monster, you inflict piercing battle damage. You could, like, build, like, a straight-up OTK with this guy. You could give him equipments. You could, like, go crazy, give them tokens so they have monsters on field, make it as big as possible, and then just, like, wallop somebody with it. Very funny card. Precious Cards from Beyond. Continuous spell card. When you tribute summon a monster using 2 or more tributes, you draw 2 cards. So if you're a tribute deck, this is just Pot of Greed. Like, if you're doing big tributes anyways. Not saying this is good, but, like, if you're doing tributes consistently, this is not a bad draw outlet for the materials being used to summon those big boys. Different Dimension Gate, continuous spell card, again with a rainbow portal. The DD Warrior Lady is being thrown into, coming out of, it's not very clear. Activate this card by targeting 1 monster on each side of the field. Banish those targets. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, return those banished monsters to the field with the same battle positions they were in. Like in a game like this where there is multiple players, this has extended value beyond its intended design. This hits everybody. So you hit one of your own cards, you hit all three opponents at your table. This has dramatically more value than was intended by its design, of course. But this is reminiscent of some form of removal that Magic is known for, where there's like enchantments and Magic that will banish like from every opponent, and that could be very disruptive to get rid of their best cards. So this is not a bad form of like good card value. Like you get like a 2 for 2 for this, which is not bad. Dragged Down into the Grave, spell card, which is got a guy holding some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. One of those looks almost like a Morganite, interestingly enough. Both players reveal their hands. Each chooses one card from their opponent's hand, discard the chosen cards from both players' hands, and then both players draw one. Just kind of a fun way of, because it says both, I believe this is everybody at a domain table, so all 4 players kind of go around in a circle, you hit everybody, and then we all draw a fresh new card. This is just a fun add to the ability to extend your level of interaction at a table by hitting everybody and not just one person. Ah, gotcha. Okay, so that is going to be it for today. We've looked at the year 2003. And man, a lot of cards in this one too. Next will be 2004, which, oh boy, there's a lot more in 2004. That might be split up in 2 videos depending on how big it gets. But in the meantime, thank you guys for watching. Your time is more important than anything else when watching these videos. But if you want to add further support to the channel, you can, of course, leave a like. Leave your comments down below, your thoughts about some of the cards that were in this video. Did I miss any from the sets that I talked about that would have been interesting to talk about? You could talk about that down below. Of course, if you're interested in a dedicated Magician's Force video, I would be gladly interested in doing a more deep dive into that set, which is like really weird for what it was trying to do at its time and did not succeed in. And of course, you could subscribe to the channel. We recently had 400 subscribers, which is huge. Thank you guys so much for as we reached that milestone, and now we can move forward looking ahead to the big 500, which would be sick to hit in the future. But as I said, your time watching these videos is much more valuable, much more important. And again, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. And until then, bye-bye.